What if I told you there is a city, a real, functioning, modern city, where the ground beneath your feet has been frozen solid for thousands of years, where cars must be left running all night, every night, or their engines will never start again, where frozen eyelashes are not a photo effect, they are Tuesday morning, where your breath does not just mist, it crackles and falls to the ground as ice crystals the moment it leaves your lips. Where going outside without the proper clothing is not an inconvenience, it is a death sentence. This is not a science fiction story. This is not a remote research outpost. This is a city of over 300,000 people living, working, raising children, and going to school in the most brutal cold environment any permanent human settlement has ever endured. This is Yakutsk, the coldest city on the face of the earth. And the deeper you go into its story, the history, the science, the human endurance, and the dark secrets buried beneath its frozen ground, the more impossible it seems that this place should exist at all. So how did it start? How do people survive? And what terrifying mystery is locked in the permafrost beneath the city? A mystery that scientists say could change the entire planet. Yakutsk sits in the heart of Siberia, in a vast region of Russia called the Sakha Republic. It is located at 62 degrees north latitude, deep inside the Arctic Circle, and it rests on the banks of the Lena River, one of the longest rivers in the world. To understand just how extreme this place is, consider these facts. In winter, Yakutsk regularly reaches temperatures of -40 to -60 degrees Celsius. That is not wind chill. That is the actual air temperature. At -40, human skin freezes in under 5 minutes of exposure. At -60, metal becomes brittle and snaps. Rubber shatters like glass. Diesel fuel thickens into gel. But here is what makes Yakutsk truly unique in all of human history. It is built entirely on permafrost. Permafrost is ground that has remained continuously frozen for at least 2 consecutive years. But in Yakutsk, the permafrost beneath the city goes down over 1,500 meters. 1.5 kilometers of solid frozen earth. It has been frozen for over 10,000 years. Every building in Yakutsk must be built on special stilts driven deep into the permafrost. If a building generates enough heat to thaw the ground below it, the entire structure sinks, tilts, and collapses. The city has an entire engineering philosophy built around the cold. Pipes cannot be underground. They freeze and burst. So all water and heating pipes run above ground, insulated in massive tubes that snake through the streets. The city itself was founded by Russian Cossack explorers in 1632, and from the very beginning, it held one of the most terrifying secrets in the world. Before we get to the mystery, you need to understand what it actually feels like to live here, because it stretches the limits of what the human body and mind can endure. The winter in Yakutsk lasts from October to April. That is 6 to 7 months of temperatures that would kill an unprotected person in minutes. In January, the average temperature is -45 degrees Celsius. Schools in Yakutsk do not close until -52 degrees. Think about that. -52 degrees is the threshold at which children are finally allowed to stay home. When you walk outside, the moisture in your eyes begins to freeze. Locals say you can hear the cold, a phenomenon they call the whisper of the stars. When temperatures drop below -50, water vapor in the air flash freezes into tiny crystals that drift and glitter around you like a slow, silent snowfall from a cloudless sky. The Yakuts, the indigenous people of this land, have a poetic name for this phenomenon. They call it the breathing of the frost. Despite all of this, people live here fully. There are universities, shopping malls, restaurants, nightclubs, and museums. There is a famous diamond industry because the Sakha Republic sits on top of one of the world's richest diamond deposits. There are fur markets where coats made from reindeer, fox, and bear are sold. There are ice sculpture festivals. There are children playing outside at -30 because, to them, that is simply a mild winter day. The people of Yakutsk do not just survive the cold. They have built an entire civilization around it. They have mastered what would kill most of the world's population. But beneath this civilization, beneath the stilts, beneath the frozen pipes, beneath the remarkable human endurance, lies something that the scientific world is watching with growing terror. For centuries, the permafrost of Yakutsk was simply the ground people built their city on. Cold, unchanging, eternal. But starting in the late 20th century, scientists began to notice something that made them deeply uneasy. The permafrost was thawing. Not fast, not dramatically, but inch by inch, year by year. The frozen ground that had held this city for thousands of years was beginning to soften in places it had never softened before. And what was being released as it thawed was something the world had not prepared for. Inside the permafrost of Siberia, locked for tens of thousands of years, are the remains of the ancient world. Whole woolly mammoths, so perfectly preserved by the ice that their fur, their skin, their internal organs, and even their last meals are still intact. In Yakutsk, there is an entire museum dedicated to these frozen giants. Scientists have found specimens so well preserved that they have been able to extract viable DNA, sparking real scientific debates about the possibility of de-extinction. But the mammoths are not the terrifying part. What is terrifying is what else is buried in the permafrost. Scientists have discovered ancient viruses, dormant pathogens frozen for over 50,000 years, that are still alive. In 2023, researchers successfully revived a 48,500-year-old virus from the Siberian permafrost. It was still infectious. Let that sink in. A virus frozen for 48,000 years. Revived. Alive. Infectious. And beneath Yakutsk, beneath that city of 300,000 living, breathing human beings, the permafrost holds unknown quantities of these ancient, unclassified biological agents. As the ground warms, as the ice thaws just a little more each year, these frozen time capsules are beginning to open. But there is one more layer to this mystery, one that goes beyond biology and into the very atmosphere of the entire planet. Locked inside the permafrost of Siberia and directly beneath Yakutsk is an almost incomprehensible quantity of organic material. The frozen bodies of plants and animals that died thousands and tens of thousands of years ago, preserved perfectly by the cold. As the permafrost thaws, these ancient organic materials begin to decompose. And when they decompose, they release methane, a greenhouse gas that is 80 times more potent than carbon dioxide over a 20-year period. Scientists now estimate that the permafrost of Siberia holds over 1.5 trillion tons of organic carbon, more than double the amount currently in the entire Earth's atmosphere. If even a fraction of that is released as methane through continued thawing, climate models suggest the resulting feedback loop could accelerate global warming beyond any point that human civilization could adapt to. And this is not a distant future scenario. It is happening now. In the fields and forests around Yakutsk, craters are appearing in the ground. Massive sinkholes, some over 50 meters wide and 30 meters deep, where pockets of methane gas have built up pressure and exploded out of the earth. The locals call them the gateways to the underworld. Scientists call them a warning. In Yakutsk itself, buildings are collapsing as the permafrost beneath them thaws for the first time in thousands of years. Roads are buckling. Water pipes are breaking. Infrastructure built to last 100 years is failing in 20. The coldest city on Earth is warming, and the world may not be ready for what comes next. And now, the question that haunts every outsider who learns about Yakutsk. Why do people stay? With everything you now know, the impossible cold, the infrastructure crumbling under thawing permafrost, the ancient viruses being unlocked from the earth, the methane craters appearing in the fields, why do over 300,000 people choose to live here? The answer is not simple, and it reveals something profound about what it means to be human. For the indigenous Yakut people, the Saka, this land is not just where they live. It is who they are. Their language, their mythology, their spiritual identity, and their entire cultural heritage are rooted in this frozen earth. To leave would be to cease to exist as a people. And they have survived here for thousands of years, through ice ages, through Soviet collectivization, through the modern era. They are not afraid of the cold. They are its keepers. For others, it is economic. The Saka Republic holds some of the world's richest deposits of diamonds, gold, and rare minerals. The industries built around these resources draw workers and engineers from across Russia and beyond. And for some, a remarkable few, Yakutsk is simply home. They were born here. Their grandparents are buried here in the frozen ground. The cold is not an obstacle to their lives. It is the texture of their lives. They have found beauty in the brutality. They have built joy inside the freeze. And that, perhaps, is the most mysterious thing of all. Yakutsk is not just a city. It is a riddle wrapped in ice. A place where human beings chose, and continue to choose, to build lives in conditions that should make life impossible. A place where the ground itself is a time machine, holding the secrets of the ancient world and the warnings of our future all at once. The permafrost is thawing. The craters are growing. The ancient viruses are waking. And the coldest city on Earth is facing a transformation that no one fully understands yet. What happens to Yakutsk in the next 50 years will tell us something enormous about the future of our entire planet. So what do you think? Would you ever live in Yakutsk? And do you think the world is doing enough to understand what is being released from the permafrost? Tell me in the comments below. I want to read your thoughts. If this story blew your mind, hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss a deep dive story like this one. Because the world is full of mysteries, and we are just getting started.